and when I say real estate, I mean business, is unforgiving to undisciplined people, because life is unforgiving to undisciplined people. If you are not disciplined with your diet, you will get fat. If you are not disciplined with your sleeping habits, you will not sleep well. If you are not disciplined in your business practices, you will not be successful in business. I mean, I wish there was a shortcut. I wish there was a much easier way. I wish there was a pill you could just pop, and then like the movie Focus or whatever it was called, where they had that unlocked his brain. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. The purpose of this show is that I kind of, and I think a lot of people have grown really weary of, here's my secret. And it's a $5,000 course, but there's nothing wrong with that. But there's a $5,000 course. It's 14 hours worth of content, and it's just so much information.
Yeah.
And it's because you're trying to distill, here's 5-10 years of information and success. Now go do it yourself. And I thought a little bit more simple process would be like, if I actually, and we'll go through this in this, but like broke down a bit about how you would approach making 100K in 100 days. Because it started from when I mapped out my own plan of how I do that. And I started giving it to others. I was like, stupidly simple. If I could cut out everything except this strategy I use to make 100K in 100 days, and then hand that to someone and say, just follow this and forget everything else. Like quite literally forget everything else. Just follow this plan. Then I was talking to a buddy, and he was like, oh man, that's cool. Here's some ideas that I have. And then I was like, huh, so what would you do if you had? And so then that's the point of the series, is to show people there's all these different and unique ways to look at making money. And it's not necessarily, I'm going to go buy a course and now I'm going to do that course. And that's it. There's a lot more to making money than just, oh, I posted my video on YouTube, which I do YouTube. So I'm not against it. I'm all for it. I don't know if that made sense.
Yeah, absolutely. You just want the secret sauce of how you make 100 grand in 100 days.
Yeah. Your view. And you can take this from any approach you want, which, you can be like, okay, if I was a new agent, or if I wanted to add an extra 100K to what I'm already doing, here's what I would do. So it's totally up to you, because some people come in and are like, I'm a team leader, so this is exactly what I make my team I do as a team. Some people are coaches. I know that you do a lot in that space, right? And so like you might say, well, this is what I like to coach on, and this is, so I want it, but again, so that's it.
And we're specifically talking to realtors, correct?
Correct. This is meant to be, so then when we put it out, we're going to have a series of all these different amazing leaders saying, this is how I do it. And it's been so cool. I mean, one guy is like, I did 1,013 transactions in the last 5 years, and this is how I did it. And he was like, how I got the listings, how I made this much money. And then another guy's like, I did it over here with Facebook Marketplace. And another guy's like, I did it with for sale by owners. And it was like, wow, that's so cool. Because it's less about here's the strategy, and it's more about here's what I do every day to produce the results. Yeah.
So I'll just start going off, and you can just interject.
All right, so let me ask you the question.
Sure.
And then what I'll do is I'll try and guide along here and there to kind of focus. All right, so you ready, Joe?
Absolutely.
If you had 100 days to make 100K as a real estate agent, what would you do?
So, I mean, we're already on pace to make well over 100 grand in 100 days. So I would keep doing what I'm doing. I can share that. I want to ask you just a little bit question back. Am I answering this as if I'm sharing what it is I already do, or what I would do if I was a new agent coming into a new area?
Which one of those pathways excites you more?
Well, the first one I'm going to be able to be a heck of a lot more descriptive on.
Let's do that one.
Yeah, okay.
I could already tell in the tone of your voice there was a lot of confidence there. That's what I would do too if I were in your shoes. So let's do that one.
So there's a couple things that you're really got to start with. Number one, every single minute of every single day needs to be time blocked, and it needs to be time blocked before your day starts. So my day starts at 7 a.m. I'm up at 5:30 and I'm doing personal stuff for myself. And I guarantee anybody you've gotten here who's making 100 grand in 100 days, they've got some sort of morning routine. They're doing the same things every single day with very minor exception, if any. That's got to be a consistent thing. So I'm up at the same time. I'm getting a workout in every morning. I'm getting so much water through my body. It keeps you alive. It keeps you awake.
All right, I got to ask, how much water do you drink a day?
Well over a gallon. I've got this, and I think it's 40 ounces.
Let's
And
go.
yeah, baby. And I fill that sucker probably 4 or 5 times. So
My man.
I'm getting a lot of water in. And I learned this in the Army is I would fall asleep. Well, I wouldn't fall asleep, but you would get sleepy on these 24-hour shifts. And if you weren't doing tobacco, which I didn't like tobacco, you drink water and it keeps you awake. So that's what did it for me. The workout, breakfast, just your hygiene.
Set yourself up for consistent success.
Yeah,
put your
whatever
body and your mind in the right place.
Yeah, maybe you want to pray, maybe you want to journal. I don't care what you do. Just do something positive for yourself and make it consistent every day. Don't think about it. Just do whatever you've got written down. I've got it's like a coaching and accountability show on Facebook. Yep. It's called the 7-Eleven Accountability Show. I don't know what the hell it's called. But really every day I'm in there at 7-Eleven. So by about 6:45, 7 o'clock, I'm starting to prepare for what it is that I'm going to do. I'm doing the write-up, kind of preparing what I'm going to talk about. And then I'll get in there and talk for maybe 5, 10, 15 minutes about something. And the goal is with the agents in there, trying to give you a nugget so that you can focus on something that day and get better. But really what it's done is it's gotten me to get my butt in this chair and start working at 7 o'clock. And that was part of the goal. It also makes me stay on top of fresh new ideas every single day. I can't talk about the same thing every day. So it forces me to be better, right? So once that's over, which is probably about 7:25 ish, then I start getting into my administrative work, and I try to get as much of my administrative stuff done as possible by 8 o'clock. So that at 8 o'clock, I can prospect, and 8 to 11 is prospecting and follow up. And I'm not thinking at all.
Okay, so when you say admin work, so the show ended roughly around 7:20, 7:25, whatever, right? And then 8 o'clock is roughly your prospecting start. So you have that, 20, 30, 40 minutes, depending on the show time, of admin work. What is admin work? Is this putting out fires? Like someone's like, hey, listen, I need you to respond to this right away, email type of thing? Or is it a different type of admin work?
Yeah, I mean, I've got different ways of communication, but the 3 biggest are texts, emails, and Facebook DMs. And so I'm just looking at all 3 of those modes, trying to follow up on all that stuff. If anybody gives me a Google review, I'm trying to respond to it. If anybody responds on one of my YouTube videos, I'm trying to respond to it. I'm going through all my emails, trying to get rid of all those. I'm trying to talk to my staff to let them know what the expectations of the day are. I'm looking at their end of day reports from the day prior to see what they got done, what didn't they get done, reprioritize whatever it is that we're doing.
You're fast then if you're getting all that done in.
No, I'm not. I'm not getting all that done.
Okay.
I'm getting a lot of it done, but I'm not getting all
You're looking for the highest priorities and basically doing as much as you can up until it's prospecting time.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay.
So once it's 8 o'clock, and I think this is where a lot of agents fail, it's uncomfortable to hop on the phones and make calls where you're going to be rejected all day. It's comfortable to sit and work on email and Facebook DMs and text. So what agents do when it's 8 o'clock and they got more emails, they keep doing emails, and you got to stop. You have to stop. You can come back to it later. So you got to prioritize. You get that done at 8 o'clock. You, in a sacred way, it is sacred, just like anything else. You've got to start your prospecting and follow-up. Everything that I do prospecting and follow-up wise is through my CRM. Even if it's a Facebook DM, which is not in my CRM, it immediately gets updated in my CRM. So if you take over my business tomorrow and you know real estate and you know the CRM, you literally can take over for me, and it's not a problem if I've done a good enough job with all my notes.
I love that you say that too. I'm a big advocate for CRMs, and people don't understand that they're your fail safe, because you will forget, and you just and when you forget, you become less optimized, and you definitely will miss things. So I love that you said that. So you're getting your leads, your prospects into your CRM. You're making appropriate notes, even when you are following up with them on Facebook or a different platform than your CRM. You're still making sure that the CRM is aware, if you will, aware that you made that contact or that you have some notes. Okay. How long do you prospect for?
8 to 11.
So do you do hours, not quantity or results?
No, I do hours because I got new stuff going on at 11 o'clock, right? And
Right.
I'm a very, and I think this comes probably from the Army. I'm very rigid on my time. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like I know when you and I are done, I've got to be done. That's a hard stop time. I know when the beginning is, I'm never going to be late. So time to me is very sacred. It's very honored. I do not like holding people over. Um, so yeah, it's time focused.
Okay.
But I know from tracking that 3 hours is going to get me more than I need when it comes to prospecting.
So that's a key word there that you said for everyone listening, is that he knows that he'll have more than enough because he tracked it.
Yeah,
I think that's very important. So in a way, you are results driven because you know that the
100%.
3 hours is enough. Because I think a lot of agents are like, I was busy for 2 hours. And I'm like, until you reach the numbers you need, like you have to keep going. Now,
Yeah.
again, in your case where you are already successful, you're not struggling, from what I'm understanding, right? It's a little bit different. You have some flexibility, but a lot of agents, because we know the vast majority are not making much money, they will be busy and they'll say, well, I lead gen for an hour and a half. Unless you can get the numbers you need from that, it's not enough.
Yeah.
Like truly, it's just not enough. So you said you're cold calling. Are you cold calling? Or are you doing warm dials? What are you doing with your prospecting?
So I do a couple different things. Right now I'm focusing on 2-year-old expireds. That's kind of my biggest thing, although I've got some other things intertwined
2-year-old
there.
expires. That's so specific. I love it.
Yeah, and I know that. So my pitch is, hey, Robert, hey, Joe Rosen here. I'm a local realtor. I saw you were on 2 years ago and you pulled your listing off the market. And I also see that prices have gone up about 7% in that time. Just some quick math on a $400,000 sale. That's about $28,000. If you knew you could get 28 grand more, would you be interested in talking about putting your home back on the market?
Look how smooth that was. I'm starting to think you
So
actually do this.
yeah, every once in a while.
Right?
So that's kind of how that goes. But I'll tell you too, I've got over 80,000 leads in my CRM. That was built up over 5 years, primarily by using RedX. You don't have to use RedX, but use something.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Um,
Red X, Vulcan.
yeah. And we would do
Yeah.
200 to 300 calls every single day, and I would feed all of them into my CRM. So I'm not just making those from the RedX dialer. I'm loading them into my CRM, and then I'm pumping them into the CRM dialer.
So I'm curious then. All right. So walk me through this real quick because I'm very curious. And most people are generally heavily interested in lead gen anyway.
Yeah.
So I like to dissect this a little bit. So you when you call a lead, it's not about what you say. That's a whole different conversation of how do you do what you do. And I'm sure
Scripts,
your
yeah.
calls and there's great resources for that. What I'm curious about is when you're going to sit down, you're ready to prospect. It's 8:00. You got your list of people. I'm assuming you've got them in the CRM. And so first, how do you locate who you're going to call for the day? How do you know who's your priority?
Yeah, so you can literally call anybody. Don't let that be the thing that holds you up. But we look for 5 things, right? New listings, price drops, under contract, open houses, or just closed. Those
Okay.
5 things. And then we're looking for the closest 300 to 500 people around it. If it's a specific HOA, I'll draw a line around the HOA.
Okay.
If not, I'll pick some streets, whatever. I don't
So are
care.
you doing this manually during your prospecting? So do you have
No.
the list ready to go?
Yeah, my staff pulls those.
Okay.
So I'll send them a DM and say, hey, we're having an open house on Saturday. It's going to be at this address. Go out as far as you've got it to fill up 500 names and then get those in the CRM and put it under this hashtag. Then I go in the next day, look up that hashtag that loads the list of 500. I put them in the dialer and I just start calling.
Got it. Perfect. So then as you're calling, all right. So you're calling, going through all of them. I've used a dialer before for sure. They're very efficient.
Big time.
Manual calling and dialers, what a world of a difference. So when you get a connection, you've had the conversation, right? So again, we're not diving into the strategy of what you're saying, but rather you said it. What are you doing after that call? Or even during the call? Are you doing anything during the call? Or you're just 100% focused on the call?
No, I mean, I'm taking notes, but really I want to be extremely engaged with that person on the phone. And I'm trying to qualify them to see where they're at. If there is zero interest at all, then that's one category where I put them on a certain campaign that texts them and then 2 weeks later it emails them, and then 2 weeks later it does a voicemail drop, and then 2 weeks later it texts them. Every 2 weeks
It
it
goes
does
through that
one.
rotation of
Yeah,
contact
and
methods.
it does that forever. And then after a year, it just starts back over at task one, and they don't know the difference, right?
Right. Absolutely.
So that's all I do right then and there. But then at the end of, let's say, those 500 calls, let's say I had 15 really good calls, and I move them to either a warm lead or a hot lead, whatever it is. I'm going to keep working those leads. But let's say I had 10. So the other 490, I'm going to put them on a long-term campaign, like I just said. So the machine is doing all the work. I'm not doing anything. And I'm also putting them on 2 other searches. One is an e-alert, which is what it's called in the CRM. And it's essentially just a buyer search, just like you do in the MLS, except I can see when you're doing things. I can see what you're looking at. And the CRM, I'm making this up, I don't remember what it is, but if you look at the same listing 3 times in 24 hours, or you look at my page 5 times in a 24-hour period, something like that, there's 6 reasons. It'll notify me, and now I call you, right? So we got warmer leads.
Right.
The other thing we're doing is we're setting you up on a neighborhood search. So what that is I live in Bedford Park. So I'm going to take all those people and I'm going to put them on a Bedford Park neighborhood search. And every 2 weeks, it's going to show you all of the actives, solds, pendings, close, all that
give them
stuff,
a bit of
right?
a menu, if you will, and say you're interested in ordering in a way.
Yeah, and now they can see what's going on in their market. They feel educated. They see me as the source of that education.
Keeps real estate on their mind too, which is very important.
Yep, and it's deleted a lot less often because they're genuinely interested. And you can't just call it market search.
Man, I'm a real estate agent, and if my neighbor, failure on my part, but if my neighbor turns around and puts their house on the market, guess what? I'm curious.
Exactly. Yep.
I am. I mean, I want to know.
Yeah.
You know, shoot, I'm curious. I'm in new construction and they're about to finish out and start selling this installment over there. Well, what are those homes selling for?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's your neighborhood. So you're going to be specifically interested.
It feels relevant. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's a big deal that you name it Bedford Park Market Update or Heritage Oaks Market, because once they see that, they think, ooh, this isn't spam. This is specifically for me. Or if it is spam, it's spam specifically to our HOA. I'm okay with that spam.
So how strict are you on the, like you said, you really manage your time. So you've got 500 people to call, you put them into the dialer, you start dialing. You will stop at 11.
Yes.
And so do you intentionally kind of limit yourself in the conversations you have when you do connect with someone? So, you know, like we're talking, you've called me, we're chatting. Are you, hey, we're going to talk for a good 2 hours?
Yeah.
Or are you like, listen, you know, you're intentional and you're going to have a range. We're not staying on longer than 20 to 30 minutes, if you will.
So I'll say yes and no. If I know that we're going somewhere, of course, I'll give you as much time as you want. I'm not going to be done at I'm cutting it off at 11 though. And I'll tell you, if I call you and all of a sudden it's 10:50 and I can see you're a bit chatty, at 10:55, I'm probably going to say, hey, Robert, I've got about 3 more minutes and I got to wrap this up. I got an 11 o'clock appointment, but would it be okay if I met with you tomorrow at your house at noon?
Right.
And now I'm trying to go for the appointment because I do have an appointment, and that appointment is with myself doing whatever's on my calendar at 11 o'clock.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I always tell people that if it's on your calendar and it's something that you can easily just kind of move around or cancel, maybe it wasn't that important to begin with.
And then it shouldn't be on
maybe
there.
it should have been replaced by something that was more important. That is unmovable. And again, there's exemptions to the rule, but for the most part, you know, when I see an agent put something on their calendar and then they move it every day, I'm guilty of this. I used to do this. I used to have things on my calendar and then I would just keep rescheduling them. And that's teaching my brain to not take my calendar seriously.
Correct. Yep. Great point.
To not trust my own ability to discern what's a priority in my business. And that's not good either. But it also teaches everybody who has access to my calendar that my calendar is not that important.
Yeah.
It teaches my wife. It teaches my assistants, hey, it's just Robert's calendar. I tell people all the time, if your spouse doesn't take your job seriously, it's probably because you don't take your job seriously.
Yep, 100%.
And you've taught them that it's okay to not respect the job that you have. Because the truth is that anywhere else in the world where you're not a contractor like this, If I wake up and I have a 9 to 5 and my wife knows I need to be work at 9, she's not turning around and asking me to do things at 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
She understands, hey, can you do this before you go? But there is no negotiation happening at 8:55 when I'm supposed to be, or I guess it would be earlier wherever I'm commuting, when that commute time happens. Okay, well, now as independent contractors, do we hold that same regard, and do we have that same respect? So I really, really love, I hope everybody listening is listening to what you're saying about just respecting
Absolutely.
that time. So you have these good conversations. You're getting them into the CRM. You're making notes. I love that you have someone who's connecting with you. If you get close to your time, you're going to reschedule. You're not going to drop off the face of the earth. You're just going to reschedule. So once 11 o'clock hits, right? Where are you headed after that?
Yeah, I want to say one more thing before that.
Yes, please do.
At the end of every decent conversation, you need to schedule an appointment. And that doesn't mean it's got to be a listing appointment or a buyer appointment. The appointment might be a follow-up phone call, or, hey, I'm going to send you an email next week, or whatever, but set the expectation for the next follow-up. Do not leave it open. I think that's absolutely critical. And that's the difference between the top 5% and the other 95%.
That's very good. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So at 11 o'clock, it's a little different every day, but 11 o'clock to 12 o'clock almost always is social media. So that's where I'm going to do a live StreamYard video. It goes both to my YouTube, the Joe Rosen Show. It goes to my personal Facebook, and it goes to my business Facebook page. And I've got a Monday, Wednesday, Friday show, and each one is different. It's what's hot on Monday, where I'm talking about something hot in the market. Wednesday is a market overview where I talk about Port St. Lucie, Florida, some specific thing about it. Today I was talking about the inventory of 2 different HOAs and how in HOA 1, you're probably not going to get, a $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 offer accepted. But in HOA 2, because the inventory rates are so high, you could.
Okay.
And I showed people how to look that up, right? Wow. And then Friday, it's you've got questions, I've got answers. So people can give me questions and I answer them on Fridays. And it can be literally anything. It doesn't matter what it is. We'll have guests on Fridays as well. I try to get a lot of people from our community in, because if I have, I mean, you're going to have this with this video, right? This video, if you share it with me and I put it on my page, all of my audience is now exposed to you. And if you put me on your page, all of your audience is exposed to me. So when you do that, all of a sudden I'm going to get 15 friend requests, and hopefully you get 15 friend requests. And all of a sudden you got new people interacting with your posts. If you do that consistently, daily, weekly, whatever it is, you're just growing your market, So that's Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Tuesday, Thursday, I have a team. I run training on Tuesday and Thursday, and it's live. It's for an hour where we go over just about anything. And we do a quarterly calendar. Me and my staff, we put it together where we take 90 minutes and do the next quarter's calendar. So I don't really have to think about it. So we walk in, and those are mostly not needed to prepare for. But if there is preparation needed, obviously I'll notate it on my calendar and I'll add it as an appointment in the afternoon one day. So that's 11 to 12. And then from 12 to 6, the goal is to fill that with as many appointments as possible.
Okay.
If you've got appointments, that's the number one priority.
Do you count showings as appointments?
Yeah, showing appointments.
Okay. Just want to clarify that, because I do as well. But some people would say, well, showings and appointments are 2 separate things. So I want to make sure.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I've never done it, but in all my years, I've probably done 2 in-person buyer consultations. I usually just do it over the phone, and then I've got a video that I send them that they can watch.
Oh, interesting. Okay, to make the process, you just felt that, you could expedite that process. The value wasn't meeting in person.
I can expedite it, and I'm never going to forget something. Like, I had a list of, I'm making this up, but 18 things I wanted to talk about. I'm going to forget one of those things when I'm talking with person A versus person B. I don't ever want to forget anything. So I purposely did that video to send it. And of course, yes, it expedites it. So I'm trying to stay in appointments, and it's listing appointments and showings. That's the goal. If I don't have appointments, then I'm filling that time with one of 3 things. Rocks, which are my long-term goals that take time. It's not something you can get done in 20, 30 minutes. Maybe it's creating 10 campaigns in our CRM.
Okay.
That might take me 5 hours. So that is not something I'm going to sit down and do on a Tuesday. I'm going to chunk that out. And so I'll usually have
Piece
two
by
or
piece.
three 60 to 90-minute chunks in the afternoon throughout the week where I'm working on those rocks. And I've got
Okay.
25 rocks right now. Once a quarter, we sit down and we review them and we talk about which are the most important. And then you forget about the rest of them. And I hear so many people say, I want to do this, but I also want to get this done. And I'm like, dude, just put them on a list, prioritize them, forget about everything other than number one, and just get number one done. When number one's done, work on number two, but quit.
Yeah.
And then when Robert tells me about this cool thing that I need to be doing, I don't freak out and stop everything I'm doing. I add it onto my list. And at the end of the quarter, I'll prioritize where it goes. And then I'll put it in my rocks section, but I'm not letting it slow me down.
Right. Very smart, man. That's so easy to do with the influx of endless information and coaching and training and resources, the advancement of AI and different tools. And it's just like, there's always a new opportunity, but opportunities outside of their proper context are distractions.
Yep. 100%. So rocks is one of the things, more admin, because I didn't do admin since 8 a.m. So I'll focus.
Probably something else that you could be.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's email follow-ups. People have texted me, called me, whatever. I got to get back to them. Title calls, my staff, whatever. That's when I get back to them. I am not picking up my phone to respond to people at any other time, unless it's 8 to 11 and it's a prospecting call and I see that it's someone calling me back, then I'll pick it up. But if I'm doing,
so you don't have that compulsive behavior of,
oh yeah, I've got it, but no, I ignore it.
Okay, you manage it.
It sucks, yeah.
Yeah, because man, that's a tough one. Like, I'd like to think I'm pretty strong-willed, but it would be pretty hard for me to not answer. I'm getting a lot better, though. I will tell you, I'm getting a lot better.
So I'll give you the pitch that I give myself. You can pick it up every single time, and you're going to rock it for that particular client that you're picking it up for. But for all your other clients where you're trying to set up systems and CRMs and checklists and marketing and social media and everything else, you're slowing down because you're allowing people to pull you out of that thing. So you're not serving your clients overall. You're serving this one time, but they're also going to get screwed in the future because I'm not focused on whatever it is. And anytime you pull yourself out of a task and put it back in, yourself back in, you don't just immediately pick up. It takes you a little bit to, okay, where was I? What did I? Yeah. So every time you pull yourself out of something, you're really losing a lot of time that you're not understanding you're losing.
So perhaps if someone feels that they can't go as long as you do, then maybe they need to schedule in an appropriate time into their calendar of saying, okay, I'm going to take 15 minutes and I'm going to respond at 12 o'clock.
Absolutely.
That way, because everybody's different and they set different expectations for their business. So if they feel that they need to be quicker, building that in is better than allowing, because now you're controlling the circumstances versus being controlled by the circumstances.
Yeah. And
I like that.
To your point, a lot of people will say, well, what's the best time for prospecting? The time that you'll do it is the best time for prospecting.
Absolutely.
What's the best CRM? The one that you'll use.
Seriously.
So when you're talking about like my schedule versus your schedule, you don't have to do what I'm doing in the order I'm doing it, but you do have to prospect and follow up. You do have to have some sort of
There
marketing.
are certain foundational things that if you do not do, your business will not succeed. That's just factual. It's like your body. If you don't drink water consistently every day, you're going to run into problems. If you don't eat every day, right? If you don't do certain things, it doesn't matter who you are, you will suffer.
Yeah.
You will suffer.
So there's two more things that I'll do in the afternoon in addition to admin and rocks.
Right. Rocks, admin, and...
One is more prospecting. Like just, hey, if you don't have appointments, awesome news. I can go make more. Yeah. So it always blows my mind when agents say it's really dead out there. And I think, awesome. That means you've got more time to prospect. Like it just doesn't matter if it's dead or not. You create your economy. And if it's dead, you've just got more hours on the phone. So it really shouldn't impact prospectors. It's impacting people who aren't putting effort into prospecting. So that's the other thing. And what's the fourth thing? I'm not going to be able to think about the fourth thing now. Oh, self-improvement. So, maybe I'll read a book, 10 pages in a book, watch a video, watch some old training seminar, whatever. Maybe a buddy of mine said, "Hey, are you doing this thing with your SEO?" No, I don't even know what that is. Watch this.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Just really seeking out things that you want to know. And just think, like, a lot of new agents will DM me all these questions, and I'm happy to answer them. DM me all day long. You can find me on Instagram, YouTube, whatever. But a lot of times you can tell by the questions asked. I don't want this to deter anybody from asking me questions, but you can hear the questions and instantly you know if they're going to be successful. Because if they're asking you questions that you can look up through a simple Google search or a YouTube video, you're not doing anything for your clients aggressively. You should be asking me really insightful, deep, technical questions. And so I would push you to really see yourself as a CEO and owner, not an employee. Nobody's going to save you. Joe will help you. Robert will help you. But at the end of after my 38 seconds of giving you a little value, I'm back to my business. Robert's back to his business. You have to take care of your business or you're going to fail.
Yeah. I think what you just said there is really powerful and isn't stated enough. That I always tell people, and I am not against, by the way, getting your real estate license in person, but I always tell people, if you want a good test to know whether you have what it takes to hold yourself accountable, then get your online real estate license. Do it online where you are the only person there. There's no friends. There's no, you know, colleagues. It's just you in your house with all of the distractions that you will see every day the moment you start your real estate career. And set a timeline of either I'm going to do this much per day and that I'm going to finish it by this date.
Yeah.
And then I want you to track every day how well you keep that.
Yeah.
And I can actually, I started, those who do it, I started to see the difference between those who would truly succeed.
Yes.
And almost, not always, there are always, guys, there's always exceptions to the rule, but let me tell you the truth, you're probably not it. If you think you're the exception, you're probably not, because most of the exceptions don't even realize they were the exception. They were just, right? If someone's getting a real estate license and it takes 90 hours in Tennessee to do, right? And if that takes them a year, okay, I promise you, unless they're working 3 jobs, has 4 kids, that they had Netflix they needed to cut out. They had other distractions that aren't wrong, but when you tell yourself this is important, and then your life does not reflect that, that doesn't magically go away the moment you actually do get your license. And real estate is unforgiving. And when I say real estate, I mean business is unforgiving to undisciplined people, because life is unforgiving to undisciplined people. If you are not disciplined with your diet, you will get fat. If you are not disciplined with your sleeping habits, you will not sleep well. If you are not disciplined in your business practices, you will not be successful in business. I mean, I wish there was a shortcut. I wish there was a much easier way. I wish there was a pill you could just pop, and then like the movie Focus or whatever it was called, where they had that unlocked his brain. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, right. I wish, man, that'd be amazing. But the reality is the everyday grind. And it doesn't go away even when you make lots of money. You can't just let yourself go, because everything that you built based off those principles will go right along with it.
Absolutely.
I had someone tell me the other day, I want your thoughts on this. I had someone the other day that I was talking to, a successful agent. We helped build him up, very successful, great guy. And I was asking about a decision he had to make to further his business that came with risk. And he said, Robert, I just can't do it because it's I'm safe and secure where I'm at, right? I'm safe and secure in the position that I'm in right now. And I said, okay, was it that methodology of thinking that got to you to where you are now? Making over $300K a year? Well, no. So you want to now change the mindset that led you to success and exchange it for one that kept you from success? Ooh. I don't know. For me, I told him, he's like, I'm not like you. And I was like, you are like me to a degree. You are. It's just that at some point you just said, I don't want to be the person that it took to be successful anymore. And that's the person that I would be most concerned about losing their business. That's the person, because they had a taste of that good life. And then they said, yeah, I'm good now, right? I don't need to be that person anymore. But anywhere else in life, I think it'll make you laugh. Anywhere else in life, where would that make sense? Hey, listen, I was fit when I was 20.
Yeah, nowhere. Yep.
And now, right. Hey, listen, I was a good husband when we first got married. I don't need to be a good husband through the rest of our marriage, right? Nowhere else in life does that make sense.
Yeah.
So when I heard that, and I don't judge them. Listen, there are plenty of things I need to work on and do that, anything. But I will always challenge people, just like I know you will. We can't help it. It's in our nature. We want to see people thrive and grow. And I was like, well, listen, I won't let that part of me die. Because that part of me is what pushes me to be a better father and a better husband. And I'm a Christian, a better Christian. That part of me that says, no, you still have room to grow. Do not be safe and secure in your past, but be motivated by what you're looking for in the future. I don't know. That's my thoughts. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big David Goggins fan, and
oh yeah, I should have known.
Going back to
who's going to carry the boats.
Yeah, you had said, I wish there was an easy button, and I thought, I know I'm rare in this, but I have thought in my mind, I love it when it's tough. And I love it. Like somebody the other day said, you got to get rid of your toxic clients. And I said, well, that's one way to go. I said, another way to go is to understand that that person has a personality issue. And I'm the only one who's got enough skills, patience, and professionalism to get them to the finish line. And I'm a freaking stud, and they're going to appreciate me once I do it. And I can put up with their toxicity because I'm a stud. So when I look at how many dials you need to make and how many doors you need to knock and how many calls you got, the harder it is, the more I grin inside, knowing that everybody else is going to think, crap, this sucks. And I think, good, keep thinking that this is easy. So going to your guy who makes 300 grand, and most people aren't in that situation. Most people that I see where I'm using the phrase I'm about to use is all interview agents, and they've got a spouse who's making 70, 80, 90 grand a year.
Yep.
And I tell them that spouse is going to be your biggest challenge, because you don't need to sell anything. Yes. So when it comes to happy hour, when it comes to going skiing on the weekend, when it comes to the beach, you're going to choose that a lot more often. Yeah. And you've got to go all in, at least for 2 to 3 years, to be able to really establish systems and norms and standards and habits to be able to be successful. And I don't say it to be rude. I say it because I've seen enough agents. I'm just giving you the warning signs of what I've typically seen with that. When I get a single mother who is absolutely screwed if she doesn't have a sale in the next 90 days, I know that she is going to bite, punch, whatever she's got to do to get that sale in. I can tell her anything and she's going to get it done. That woman is going to work a hell of a lot harder than the person with the spouse making 80 grand.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so hard because sometimes it's hard to be the bearer of bad news. And I don't actually think it's bad news, by the way. It's not bad news to know that you're not meant for something. And to be clear, everybody listening, Joe and I are not saying we are the purveyors and judges of whether someone will succeed or not.
No.
What we're saying is that there are qualities and characteristics that are generally true within the success realm of real estate. And we're going to share those with you. We're going to share what those qualities and characteristics are generally true. Are there outliers? Sure. Are there exceptions to the rule? Sure. But we don't sell you on that. That's not controllable. That's not manageable. That's not predictable. Like Joe, you've been saying this whole time, you manage your schedule. Why? To produce a predictable outcome. Yep. You know that. So that's what we focus on is I can't control the anomalies. What I can control is the predictable outcomes, the consistent outcomes. So it's very important that one, people need to realize it's okay to not be this person, you don't have to turn around and become a millionaire real estate agent. Yeah. You don't have to. What you need to do is identify why you're here. Why are you here? Why are you in real estate? To make lots of money. Never going to achieve. You're never going to achieve what you want if you do that. There's always more money to make. Why are you really here? And then for me, and I don't know if I'm a little weird like this, but the painful consequence. I actually believe in painful consequences.
Yep.
I really do. I think, especially as a Christian, I think that hey, you don't follow God. What's the ultimatum? What's the consequence of that? You go to hell. Okay, so I think I stand pretty good on there. And then guess what? In most other aspects of life, if you don't do something that you know is productive, the consequence is negative. It's not positive. It's not like, hey, you didn't show up to work today. I'm so happy. Here's your paycheck anyway. Right. So I think most people can get with that. And so I think you just need to understand, why am I here? And is the pain of loss, we're far more motivated by fear of loss than we are of fear of gain, or what we can gain, hope for gain. Is the pain of that significant enough to make sure that in a way, there's no backup plan for you?
Yep.
That you don't look at your spouse and say, well, they'll take care of it. That you don't look at them, because the other thing too is that, and are you're married, Joe?
Yeah.
Okay, so you know this then, what I'm about to say, and you can speak on it. When you tell your spouse, I'm going to go get into real estate to help pay our credit card debt down, I'm going to go do these things, and then you choose the wine and dine, and you choose the vacations, and you choose Netflix every night, and you choose these things, there is a subtle psychological thing that actually happens in your relationship, which is you're telling them your word is no good and that you're not dependable. And so I'd rather someone come in and say, listen, I'm going to set realistic expectations. I know why I'm here. I'm going to set daily goals and grind, and I'm going to prove to my spouse, even if I don't succeed, that my word is still good. I might fail at real estate one day, Joe. It might fall under me. I might make a bad decision, but I've proven to my wife all along that we don't have to fear failure, because I won't stop. That won't define me. And we'll keep going.
Yeah.
And we'll keep going. And I think that's a big deal. You've proven to yourself, right? You've proven to your spouse who you are.
Yeah, for me, it is hard to coach that. I'm good friends with a lot of brokers, a lot of team leaders, high level people, high producers, high performers. And we all, like, for me, you talk about your why. My why is not like some magical thing. And yeah, I like helping people, and sure, I like money, but really the thing that drives me is I'm just super competitive. If you do 8 sales this month, I want to do 9. If you made 13 conversations today, I want to do 14. That just drives the hell out of me. So that's why I like doing it. Yeah. All the other things do appeal to me, but that's what I like. So when I talk to an agent who asks me, how do I make $100,000 in 100 days? And I show them the way to do it, and then I watch them over the coming days and they don't do anything. It's so frustrating, because I'm like, and a lot of people will excuse it too with, and this is, I'm contradicting what you said a little bit, but I want to point out I'm not too.
Sure.
A lot of people,
it's okay.
They want it, but then they won't put in the effort, which tells me, okay, you want the comfort of not doing it more, but you want that now. And I know you want that now. And I know if I were to call you on it, you would say, well, sometimes I need some free time and blah, blah, blah. But what about in 30 days when you can't pay your light bill, or you got to tell your wife you got to cancel the trip to Jamaica, or what? You're going to say, oh my gosh, if I could rewind time, I would have done all those things you said, because I am embarrassed. I am in shame. I am whatever. Yeah. I'm not living the life I want. As a parent, dude, it is so important for me to see my girls. I want them to see my dad is tough. He is habitual. Yeah. This is how he treats us and mom. Yeah. And we're never in a financial quandary because of him, because I want them to think that's what a man is. Now, when they're looking at a man, they're not saying, well, my dad was kind of lazy and procrastinated, so this guy can be lazy and procrastinate, and that's okay. It's not okay.
Yeah.
But that's me. That's not everybody.
So I feel that so much. And I actually do I agree. I think you did affirm it, that pain wasn't significant enough. The reality wasn't significant enough for them to change. And I think of myself, and I have layers of why. We all have layers of why, right? Like, oh, well, I need to pay bills. Okay, that's one layer. But there's a deeper layer under that, and there's a deeper underlayer of that. I always tell people, you don't pay your mortgage because you want to. So while, yes, you need to make money to pay your mortgage, it's deeper why you pay your mortgage, though. You make money to pay your mortgage so you don't end up homeless.
Yeah.
Right. And so I love my life so much. I love my 2 kids and my wife so much. And I get to spend so much time with them. Like, it makes me emotional as I'm talking about it now. That's my, like, it may be taken away from me. Welcome to life, people. Things happen, but don't ever let it be because of my choices. That I can't. I just can't. I could not live with the reality that my selfishness, that my sloth, that my laziness destroyed, ruined, separated. And you know what? If my wife needed to, she would go get a job. She's an amazing woman. But I don't want to ever be the reason she has to. If she does have to, if life happens, think about people in the Ukraine and in different countries. War happens. Wealthy people all of a sudden lose all power. How about people in Asheville, North Carolina? When the floods hit, their money didn't mean much right then. Right? And so, like, there are things outside of your control that can disrupt your life. But I do not want to be the disruptor. I don't want to turn around and my wife is working a job, not because life happened, things outside, but because I chose to put our family in that position. Oh my gosh. No way, man.
Yep.
I can't do it. I can't do it. I will give up every game, TV show, whatever. I mean, I'll give it all up if to preserve just the fact that I get to spend so much time with them.
Yeah.
Oh, powerful.
Yeah. And I think too, to your point, it's really important that with all of this hard work and all this prospecting and, you know, guarding your time and writing down what you're going to do every minute, part of those minutes need to be the time that you're going to spend with your family or on your hobbies
100%.
or whatever. Right. So
Yes.
every day from 6 to 7, my kids know they leave me alone because they know from 6 to 7, I shut everything down and they get all my attention.
Yeah.
If I didn't give it to them from 6 to 7, they'd be bugging me all day. So
Absolutely.
I do that for them and I give them all day Sunday and they know that. And that's on my calendar. It literally says on Sunday, family day. It's accounted for. Every minute is accounted for.
It renews your why too. You'll lose sight. You'll lose sight of that feeling that you desire so deeply when you don't get it. And so, like, when I turn around and I spend the fact that I put my kids to bed every night, but then I was gone for 3 days at a conference. And then when I came back, I missed them so much.
Yeah.
And it just renewed to me why I have to keep going. And I have to keep making good decisions. And I have to take the time I do get with them.
Yeah.
If I miss them that much and my wife that much just after 2 or 3 days of being gone, imagine what it would look like if I have to work 2 to 3 jobs and I'm gone 80 plus hours a week. No, not that there's anything wrong with those who have to do that, but I don't want to put my family in position. So I will do everything in my power not to put them in that position.
Yeah. One thing I've done to help with that, because you're absolutely right, you'll lose focus of your why sometimes, is I've written down the most important things regarding my why. And when I'm really motivated, focused, whatever, I have said those things and I wrote it down. So I said it perfectly. I said them perfectly and I said them with emotion into a voice recorder on my phone. And whenever I'm not feeling it while I'm working out, I just hit the play button and it goes off. It's about 2.5 minutes and I'll play it 2, 3, 4 times and it just ingrains itself in my brain on days when I'm not as motivated. So it pulls me back.
That's good, man. I might go do that. That's really awesome. That's like this almost like retrospective affirmation type
Big time.
Wow, that's so cool. That's I've never heard someone say they do that before, but that makes a lot of sense. Like, it's like the, future you letters. Right. And it's just that affirmation that, like, who are you? Why are you doing this? Because it's so easy to forget. Man. All right, Joe. You got a hard stop. We protect our time. We want to set a good example. So, what is the best way that people can follow you? Because I think you're just an awesome figure in our industry, and I think people would learn a lot from just having you in their feed on a daily basis. So, what's the best way that they can reach you?
I really appreciate that. You can follow me on Facebook. Just look me up, Joe Rosen. I'm a big bald-headed white dude. Or you can go to my business page. It's not quite as interactive. Instagram, it's at the Joe Rosen Show. And then my YouTube channel, which we've got 3 videos every single week, is thejoerosenshow.com. And if you go there, I've got hundreds of videos. A lot of them are focused on buyers and sellers, but a lot of them are focused on realtors. So you can get a lot of helpful content on there for free as well.
I love it. Guys, if you're listening, I want you to go drop your why in the comments.
I like that.
I think that's amazing. I think that was such a cool way to kind of end this, was just, go do that recording. In fact, I'm not just going to say I might do it. I'm going to go do that.
I love that.
I'm going to go do that because that's really, really powerful. And if that will help me in any way, why wouldn't I pursue it?
Yep.
So everyone listening, go put it in the comments and then go record it. It could be something small. Just do something. Maybe it's just your goal for the next week. Maybe you haven't figured out your life goals yet. That's a deep conversation. Go do something. In the next week, you want to cut out eating sugar for the week. Okay, right? Do something and start to prove to yourself that it's possible. I think that's awesome. Listen to it every day. Today, you're not going to do this. Instead, today, you're going to do this. You're going to be this person. We're going to achieve this thing. That's powerful. That's powerful. Joe, I had a blast with you, man. Thank you for breaking down how you would do 100K in 100 days. It was really awesome to just dissect and really get into that. That was, I want to go do what you do now. I'm like, yes, like I feel so empowered listening to you. So thank you for the time that you've given. Man, I can't wait. We got to get you on again for sure.
Yeah, it was an absolute honor. I appreciate it.